Hey everybody, this is Valerie Saunders. Welcome to another episode of Val's Vibe, where today we're going to look a little bit at a part of the complex world of mortgage regulation, and that is the Loan Originator Compensation Rule. So this isn't going to be another one of those dry regulatory episodes, but I want to take this time to bring to the forefront something that could literally affect every single person in the mortgage brokerage origination space. So you may or may not be aware that back in June, the CFPB sent a proposal to the Office of Management and Budget, or the OMB, involving LO comp and potential rescission. So just to give you some background history, what we typically call the dual compensation prohibition under LO comp says that if any loan originator receives compensation directly from the consumer, as we know, borrower paid, no loan originator, whether it's the same loan originator or another loan originator, and remember, in Dodd-Frank in LO comp, the definition of a loan originator isn't an individual, it's the business as well. So mortgage broker businesses are considered loan originators and individual LOs are considered loan originators. So keep that in mind. No loan originator, whether they're the same loan originator or another loan originator, may receive compensation directly or indirectly from any other party in connection with the transaction. So we first have to take this conversation back to 2010, when Congress added LO comp provisions to truth in lending in Dodd-Frank. These provisions did move oversight of LO comp to the CFPB and away from the Federal Reserve Board, who had previously had oversight over the LO comp rule. In those provisions that Congress added back in 2010, it added that a loan originator may not receive compensation from any other than the consumer if the consumer pays upfront discount points, origination points, or fees. Congress also, though, expressly authorized the CFPB to waive or provide exemptions to this restriction, which fortunately for us, they did. So under CFPB's LO comp rule, a loan originator may receive compensation from a party other than the consumer, such as the loan originator employer, regardless of whether the consumer makes any upfront payment of points, discount points, origination points, or fees, as long as the loan originator does not receive any compensation directly from the consumer. So here's the big one. The CFPB also created an exemption from the truth in lending dual compensation prohibition that permits a loan originator organization, so that's the mortgage broker business, to compensate its employee loan originator in connection with the transaction, even when the originator receives compensation directly from the consumer in connection with the transaction. So what is that? I, as mortgage broker business, employer loan originator, receive money from the consumer in the form of borrower paid compensation. I then take that borrower paid compensation and I pay my employee loan originator through my LO comp agreement for their payment in regards to that particular transaction. Without this exemption, mortgage broker businesses could not compensate the loan originator that worked on a loan if the broker receives compensation directly from the consumer. So we would only be able to compensate our employee loan originators as mortgage broker businesses if we did lender paid compensation only. Of course, the LO comp rule also had the provisions, or the CFPB's LO comp rule also included provisions that weren't included in TILA or the prior Fed rule that allowed an employer to make contributions to a 401k, receive compensation based off of bonuses. So those provisions were also in that CFPB LO comp rule. So if the CFPB LO comp rule is rescinded, all of those provisions, the ability for a mortgage broker business who receives compensation from the consumer as a borrower pay transaction, as well as the mortgage broker business ability to pay its loan originator employees 401k and bonuses or contributions to 401k and bonuses would go away because it would revert back to the Dodd-Frank loan originator compensation provisions. So, why do I bring all of this up? Because, as I mentioned all the way back at the beginning of this discussion, in June, the CFPB sent over information to the OMB that they are looking at making changes to the LO comp rule, changes meaning potential rescission. I'm not opposed to revisions to the LO comp rule, but we as an industry cannot have a complete rescission of the changes that the CFPB made to our compensation rule. This would be a catastrophic change to the mortgage broker industry as a whole. So I want to point this out because now that trigger leads is kind of behind us, we are waiting for President Trump to sign that into law. It's my understanding that that was sent over to his desk on August 8th. If he doesn't sign that within 10 days, the next 10 days, or doesn't veto it, that should automatically go into law on, I believe, August 19th. And then there will be a 6-month time frame before it goes into effect. But the next big focus, the next big fight for mortgage brokers and the mortgage origination community is going to be the LO comp rule. So please make sure that you stay connected, whether that is to your trade association like the National Association of Mortgage Brokers, or through these VALS Vibe podcasts, or through other advocacy outlets, because that is going to be the next big topic of conversation. So this is me, Valerie Saunders, reminding you to keep your compensation compliant, to stay connected, and to be aware of what is happening. And one more thing before I go. If you're a compliance officer and you just listened to this entire episode, to make sure I got it right, first of all, hello. Second, this has been simplified for general understanding. So I do want to say, always consult your legal counsel for specific situations. You, of course, know the drill. But thank you very much for listening to this episode of VALS Vibe. Please stay connected and always have a great rest of your day.